Hello, we're having weather. Hello.
Hello.
Bitch! Are you with us?
We're having weather. We're back up for some reason. I don't know why it's doing this. I really don't.
You
Right?
missed some grade A
You missed
quality.
some shit.
No, I said some things and I just don't think you got to hear any of them. I said he was like activating a Furby or one of those things you press in the drugstore, and then you said the awful thing about you've activated my assigned mail at birth card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's more than
Because
that.
I'm a white liberal and
Right,
I'm here to help.
right. And that's, I
And this is what I
believe,
think
where
is
it.
helping.
And then you said, "Oh, I think we lost Wit," and pretty much right after you said, "I think we lost Wit," I stopped being able to hear you. But I could still hear you for part of it. You couldn't hear me.
I see.
But did you hear this? Did you hear the bit about the counselor being schizophrenic and we're the two voices
Yes.
bitching and moaning about who reads which screen?
Yes.
The real friends were the voices we listened to along the way.
Oh, here's your sepia.
Anyway,
Here's your sepia if you want it.
Oh, I didn't think this
okay.
counted, but let's do it.
I earnestly don't see a difference between this one and the previous one, but I will just accept that maybe I have suffered a horrible injury that's so horrible that I lost memory of it, and I have lost the ability to see sepia.
Can you
Anyway.
see the shape in like being displayed, the fuzzy shape?
Yes,
That's the important part.
that is sepia.
No.
No, the
That is
background behind it is sepia.
not sepia. Okay.
I was thinking, like, when it was very obvious that the background was supposed to be a piece of paper. But here we all are. You guys can fight over every single text box.
Oh. I want Alpha to do the original gangster Grandpa. That's what I want.
Grandpa's not going to talk for a while.
Granted, you got it. Granted, when we get there.
Okay.
All right, great.
Now
Upon
that if you can see, yeah, if you can see a silhouette in front of a lightish background, that's the sepia we're talking about.
It's
if
not.
You see just complete.
It's the
goddamn
sepia you're
blackness,
talking about. I was talking about.
Are you sure that Kuro didn't accidentally infect you with her color blindness?
If there's light on the background, you read the goddamn screen.
No, you guys are going to fight over it every text box, and I've resigned myself to it.
Just read it.
You see, this is why Wit thinks men are incapable of love. Because we fight over the dumbest shit.
We are incapable of love.
You're the first one I've had admit it.
Upon her discovery of it, at her
Upon her
gaze.
discovery of it.
No, you son of a bitch. All right. The bit is over. I'm canceling the bit. The bit is canceled.
All right, go on.
It grew, or extended, its shaggy-haired self. Hair like the fur of a dog, I offered. No, she said. Not the fur of a dog, nor the hair on her head. It grew out towards her, the animal's hair, reaching out. It was hard, standing almost straight, like the hair on a brush. A bristle, I offered. Yes, she said. She was very afraid at first, but then very curious. I asked her what else was in the room. Good question. It's a good question. More things hidden away, she said. Things of Grandpa's as well. First she found a hidden passage under the stairs. Inside were strange dolls, magic objects, naked, faceless figures.
Oh?
I heard these cryptic utterances and merely nodded. In order to keep the game of make-believe going, I only pressed for details where I thought necessary. That is good counseling. If you want to be a good assessor, you have to let people talk.
It's good lawyering, too. Only say, hold it, when necessary.
Objection! Oh, man, I should drop that in one of my sessions.
Oh, Jesus. Just scream, hold it at them? Awful.
No, do a Phoenix Wright objection.
Oh, when they have like negative self-talk?
And then like hold up a piece of paper and like hit it with the back of my limp wrist.
And
Ugh.
repeatedly say this is the contradiction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The faceless dolls could be a simple metaphor for the anonymity she feels in her own home. The hidden passage, I'm unsure of what to make of that. The revealing of the concealed seems to be thematic in her fantasy. The door under the stairs is but one example.
Okay, I can't actually touch the
Pet the grandpa.
animal.
well, you're groping at it, aren't you?
I was trying. Door under the stairs.
The darkness in the shadowy corner. Oh, never mind.
This is
Okay.
actual narration. I have no
This
idea
is
how to tell the
actual
difference.
narration. So this is white, and it comes
I got
from
it, I got
the
it.
right side of the screen, perhaps. These
Perhaps.
are things that I think are different.
First person, second person.
Yeah, so, but
Yeah.
that means we both all have to read the text box in our heads before reading the text box out loud.
Well, luckily for you, I am literate, so I can read it.
Oh, thank Christ.
The darkness of the shadowy corner unnerves you. You cannot explore here without some form of light.
All right, back the other way then.
That's a staple of any point and click.
I like how they label the stuff that you can click so that it's very clearly defined. That is a distinct improvement on the point and click. Yeah, it's the side of the panel. Left side is therapist, right side is narrator.
Well, there was
this,
the
This
door
text is darker as well.
that it's infinitesimally darker, but yes.
Once she removed the panel and found the magical hidden passage, she was very specific about what she took. She found a magic book, a magic doll, and a photo of her late grandpa, and magic glue.
Magic glue?
A slouching doll.
Okay.
That is very clearly yours.
Yeah, you notice how bright
Yep.
that is.
Yep.
A slouching doll. Its material is rough and coarse. A photo of your late grandfather, Mr. PhD. On the reverse side of the photograph, there is more text. Good luck on your trip to the Urals. Stay warm. So the man was a PhD. Very impressive.
I don't want to throw it away.
Papers crudely together to form a book.
What?
Oh no. Is it gone forever?
Forever.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
I hope that wasn't important.
I think it was plot about the Ural Mountains.
It saved us about 20 minutes. So.
It's true.
Is that therapeutic?
No, but it's the game.
I think I would disagree. After you've cleaned a space, you often feel a real sense of accomplishment because you can look at what you've done and see the progress you've made, and that gives you a big ol' hit of dopamine.
But that's one of the reasons I like my job, is because I can get that all day.
The Internet Explorer of all art supplies.
I really like my job because I get that dopamine hit after every horn I finish. In a way that people who have
all clean. The space will not be dirty again until next week.
I interrupted to ask what she did with these magical, mysterious materials. Grow Grandpa, she explained plainly, and then without missing a beat, she continued on with her story. Feeling this was a potent symbol, I stopped her again to ask what she meant. The fuck?
Yeah. Bitch, what?
Somewhat puzzled, I did not understand immediately. She explained slowly. Grandpa lives in the cage in the other room. the cage behind the door. They grew people in the cage. Do they not teach you
What?
this shit in school?
Yeah, right. All right, I think that's everything here. Anything good in this trash pile?
Trash.
The trash business is a gold mine.
Maybe there's
Let me
some
let me
leftovers that are still good in that styrofoam container.
let me
Yeah.
smash in the trash.
Oh, jeez, that bothers me. Oh, wheelchair.
Oh, if was this shoot, I wonder if we didn't just miss something extremely important when I clicked through that book. Hang on one second.
Is there some way to check inventory?
I don't think there is an inventory.
What's that question mark in the top right of your screen?
Mostly options, I think. Yeah.
I see. Hmm.
Oh, they have a left-handed mode. I like that a lot.
But we're not left-handed.
This
No, I
is a
don't think any of us are.
different game?
Huro is
Oh,
left-handed,
oh,
right?
okay. I'm left-handed when I use utensils. I'm right-handed when I do virtually everything else.
I'm gonna say no,
To Huro being left-handed.
but now I'm not positive. Hang on, let me think before I ask her and embarrass myself. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Hey, honey, I have a really embarrassing question. Are you left or right-handed? Thank Christ she's right-handed. Everyone, nobody panic. I know my wife. I know my wife. Yeah, but I didn't marry them. I married you. And that's really all that matters to me. Because it would have been incredibly embarrassing if I had gotten that wrong. Live on camera.
Well,
In
ain't
front of
that cute?
twos of people.
Oh,
Okay.
no, nobody important. Just two of your best friends.
Okay. Turns out there is no wiki or walkthrough for this.
So we're not going to know until we get soft because we don't know something.
Which we might be doing right now. We might not have the answer to the next riddle because it was in the book we can no longer
No,
read.
so it was, I think that was lore, and it was incredibly interesting lore. Community hub?
So, Alpha,
Hmm.
what is the craziest product that has ever been recalled from one of the locations that you manage?
I don't have any recall stories, but I do have a story that was passed down to me from the
The Great Beyond?
the adult items hotline, as it were.
Go on.
So, my first year with the company, I was working a warehouse that dealt with delivering Halloween trucks out. Um, my manager at the time also had a spot doing guest service calls, and he took a call where a glass dildo broke inside the girl who was calling.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Long story short, he's like, "Why the fuck aren't you calling 911? Like what? Like what do you expect us to do about this?"
Yeah.
He had a much more graphic and very non TOS friendly story to go behind it. So that's what I'm gonna say here.
Really, she should have sued because glass is really strong stuff. So if
I
it
mean,
broke
I mean,
from intended use, that is definitely a manufacturing error.
I mean maybe, but he didn't go there. At least not in the story.
No,
I don't know
I'm just
what all
saying
came of
he
that.
should have sued.
I'm yeah maybe. I
Well, you heard it here
I
first.
blame you.
Alpha should have been sued, but there is no justice.
Okay,
Yep, absolutely.
I have pulled
The
up a
prognosis-
YouTube video where I can read the stuff in the book. Eurasian
Excellent.
steppe shamanism and the fusiform gyrus, an interdisciplinary study in sympathetic magic, a dissertation by Jacob Hart is what the actual book looks like. Papers crudely bound
So this-
together to form a book.
Mhm.
As you might see in a PhD dissertation.
And this madman chose not to read it. So I guess it's not that important. But what it's taught me is that this is not the lore dump I thought it was. I haven't found it yet. So we didn't miss the thing
Okay.
that I think is very important.
If you're on
Okay,
a
good.
YouTube video, you can use the comma and the period button to frame by frame. So if he like goes through it in the course of like 4 or 5 frames, you can go look at each one.
I believe all of these are the lore dump I thought it was. And so they made it so you can't possibly fuck it up. I want you
A
to
hastily written note.
read this hastily written note and see if you agree with the designation that this was somehow hastily written.
Okay. I have repeatedly called your homes to no avail, and so I am forced to leave this here for you all. I found William sitting in the corner of the enclosure area, seeming severely concussed. Whiskers was gone, in none of its usual hiding places. I immediately suspected the worst. The project thus must be suspended for now. I'm leaving up the usual mirrored coverings we use to keep the anthropoidic void sealed. I have done my best to lock up everything on such short notice. It is a hasty fix, but it will require some time to find a more permanent remedy. I'm honestly hoping you do not find this note, as I intend to lock the house down too. I intend to race off to you to retrieve your lockbox keys. Do not worry about Williams. It and the rest of his equipment is almost certainly deep within Whiskers now. I pray you do not enter this room. No matter how it may appear, William cannot be helped and is only being kept alive as a means of continuing predation for the rest of us. I will say once again, no matter what state you may encounter William in, he cannot be helped. I have sympathy for the young man, I truly do, but I found on his person several photos of his late sister, which would imply certain risks he knew he was taking. Our extant research materials have now become possible liabilities, either criminal or professional in nature, so I have stashed them away. I believe I let you all know how I might do this if we were ever to experience an event such as this. I hope you all remember what I told you. So long then, Dr. H.
So long
Presumably.
then. So my
I
cat
can
has
see
my cat has
how.
eaten my assistant. So long then.
Did that feel
I
hastily
can.
written to you? That was a really long note.
I mean, there's obvious urgency behind this. I don't know. Without seeing the handwriting, I wouldn't be able to tell you. A note on an experiment. For the sake of university policy and the health of any future career you hope to have, you will abide by the non-disclosure contract you have signed. Do not break the anthropoidic vacuum without my prior consultation and approval. Any arthropoidic forms brought into the enclosure area must not be left unattended. When not in dormancy, the sample will attempt to take anthropoid shells. Please see shell notes for more on that.
Oh, fuck. How do you get them?
You've done it now.
How do you get them back?
YouTube.
Yeah. Comma and period, you say?
Yes.
Does it have to be paused? Should I have been clicking on something?
Pause it and then use the comma and period buttons to reverse and forward single frames if you need a single frame.
No, that's, I need more like seconds.
Then the arrow keys.
The
Left and
arrow
right.
keys, you say? That's 5 seconds.
I don't know.
clicks on them in a weird order. This man. One. Yeah, you click here.
Inquisition, Inquisition.
Okay. That's gonna be... We haven't gotten that one.
We were on 2 of 4.
Yeah, when he clicks on the first one, it shows a completely different one. That's
Well,
extremely
you were
weird.
showing them in the correct order, so maybe he just needs. I don't know.
Ritual behavior with the sample, trading, bargaining, will result in dismissal from the project. The precise mechanism of the exchange of symbols and gifts required for a requested desirous yield are not known, and even then, anecdotal accounts of success are illegible, end in violent death. Are to be vegetarian. Okay. Regarding growth cycles, every time Whiskers regenerates and leaves dormancy, it is to be logged as a new propagation. The sample's bodily existence cannot be, i.e., a part cannot be cut from the whole, so there can only be one living propagation. Propagations are to be terminated after 5 weeks.
According to
Any
Texas
further,
law.
any, any further development puts us at risk. Termination procedures will be posted and followed with extreme care. With all of that out of the way, I want to welcome you to the project. I look forward to working with you, Dr. Hart.
Sorry, I was muted there. Beyond the door, in the room, the cage was hidden, concealed in another cloak of inward-facing mirrors. A hidden cage lined with mirrors. It is strange, almost poetic, the elaborate fantasy of self-reflection, concealment, captivity. At the cage, she finally cast her spell. But it was confusing, she confided at first. She took the magic doll, the magic glue, and the photo of her grandpa, and she combined them. And she wished very hard. I can only assume in this fantasy that next her wish would come true. In what child's story would it not?
Where's my doll? Help. I'm going to the YouTube video.
Grab the glue and drag it somewhere?
There must be a reason the glue is showing on the screen.
Glue the floor?
Oh,
Stick the
what?
glue up.
Okay,
Stick the glue up the counselor's nose.
found it.
I see. Okay. This is all you. Alpha?
It's slow. Got it. A tangible symbol of intention and desire.
She put Grandpa in the cage, assuming that was part of the ritual. She was not clear on how it worked. What precise instructions she could glean from her grandfather's magic book was complicated by her reading comprehension. She wished with all her heart, and then she told me she waited a while for anything to happen. And after that time, she began to cry. I cried really hard, she said. I wanted Grandpa to be back. I wanted my parents to stop being so mean. And it hurt me. It hurt me wish for Grandpa to come back, for my parents to be different. I could feel it through the walls, and it felt me through the air. I asked her what exactly she meant. She could only repeat what she said. By this time, lunch was almost over. I said goodbye to Adrian, and she left to rejoin her class. I was left to consider our conversation. I believe the storytelling strategy I have employed was not unfruitful, but I must probe deeper if I can. Although I can be sure of nothing I interpret, the impressions I get may begin to help me get an idea of the right questions to ask. See, that is healthy knowledge of your own boundaries. Uh, that's some good counseling right there.
So,
Knowledge you acquired this week has given you access to certain topics or keywords you can discuss with Grandpa. Consider discussing wish when Grandpa emerges. You've also gained the following keyword. Consider discussing shell when Grandpa emerges. Dawn of the second week.
I met with Adrienne in order to address her emotional outbursts in the past few weeks. It is our second time meeting, and while it is standard practice to have multiple sessions with a troubled student, as I assembled a report for the counseling department, I could not help but think, as we sat down in my office, that Adrian already seemed to show a remarkable change in self-esteem and confidence, and perhaps mine, Mrs. Richardson's estimation of her as emotionally disturbed was erroneous. Paralyzing shyness and withdrawn attitude Adrian possessed last week were not entirely diminished, but she seemed to hold herself differently this week. However, this only lasted as long as our conversation pertained to initial introductory pleasantries.
Don't
When I
forget, you
be-
gotta read it exactly as written.
why?
oh,
Is he
did
missing
I?
stuff?
No, he said were grammatically correct when the text said was.
It's true. We do
That's the
traditionally let the
thing you.
game hang itself out to dry.
It's the thing you say.
I didn't even notice. My brain edited it before it reached my frontal lobe,
I
so I
understand.
got the corrected one. When
Now,
I
if we were
began
playing
once
the I. No, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I insist.
I was. I was gonna say if we were playing the Eye of Argon game, that would have been a drink.
Oh boy.
Mm. When I began once again asking about her parents, her feelings regarding her new school, and her new home, she quickly lost what new confidence she had gathered up and withdrew again into herself. So, once again, I partook in some collaborative make believe. But this time I was aided by the fact I had managed to do some research into Adrian's grandfather, and I had some insight into what she might actually be finding in the basement. Now, this may be overstepping my bounds as a school counseling caseworker, but this was all in the service of making Adrian comfortable and happy in this learning environment. In any case, I was able to dig up information regarding the grandfather by inquiring at at the university in town. Not that I make a habit of sleuthing, but I had a suspicion that the grandfather was a professor there, at least some sort of researcher, due to the fact that the newly constructed laboratory on campus I drive by every day bears his name in memorial.
Yay, run on sentences.
Hmm.
He was some sort of anthropologist or linguist or neuroscientist. I did not have to dig that deep before the scope of his work became dizzying and I ran up against the limits of my undergraduate education. Um, Man, undergraduate doing school counseling?
How is he? How is he qualified?
Damn.
Either that or what he's saying is he or she, I guess we don't have a gender of the counselor, um, is that their masters was so specialized that anthropology, linguistics, and neuroscience was the last time they had touched on that was undergrad, and their masters could not help them there.
Thinking back to the uselessness of my school counselors, I really truly could believe that they only had like an undergraduate education.
Mm.
But back to the make believe. What is your grandpa like? Is he a smart man?
Not anymore, but I'm teaching him.
So he's grown a good deal then. You've been feeding him well?
Yeah, he's getting bigger, but he has a lot of room in his cage.
He's still behind the bars?
Yeah, well, he might be able to climb out eventually. There's this vent in the ceiling.
Oh, this is one of those like
That's a no-go.
that is putting Chekhov's gun in your mouth saying this sentence. Well, perhaps if he climbs out, I could meet him someday.
Yeah, maybe. But he's not ready to leave. He can't take care of himself. I have to feed him, pick up after him.
Ah, you store the food in your lunchbox? That's nice of you to share.
He can almost talk.
You cannot speak with him?
He doesn't have a mouth, sort of.
But how do you feed him?
He has a mouth on the outside, on his shell, or the stuff that is his skin.
I'm a little confused. Maybe you can go through a typical day with your grandpa?
Okay.
I asked her to explain how exactly she goes about growing her grandpa, and Adrian began another tale. According to Adrian, in the week that had passed, much had changed in the basement. You didn't clean up the trash.
I could if you like.
Yes.
Or do you want to see Grandpa?
No, clean up the trash.
The hairy thing that was here before is gone.
I'm sure that's fine.
Oh, okay.
You should go see Grandpa first.
It was scary at first, she said. The way he moved, the way the doll skin covered him. I wanted to interject, but somehow seemed but I wanted to interject, this somehow seemed inappropriate, but I kept listening. When I look at him, she continued, when I think about him, he grows and moves. It's like he is growing for me.
That's a sentence.
So he's growing bigger now, I asked. Yes, she said, bigger every day.
Jesus. This begins the actual growing part of growing your grandpa. Beneath the doll's burlap skin, the follicles knit together what resembles a proper person, your grandpa. You are in charge of its cognitive development and diet until it is able to sustain itself.
I hope they give us meaningful choices.
Currently, you are observing Grandpa. Please click the arrow back button below for a brief tutorial on your duties as caretaker.
There are
Oh, no.
a couple choices.
Okay, I see our lunchbox is here.
Yeah, that's where you
I've
gather
sent it
food.
through. Here we can see a variety of options regarding growing your grandpa. Highlighted in red are objectives related to feeding and teaching Grandpa. Important messages regarding Grandpa's recent activity will also appear here. You will need to find it food and learning material before you can move on to the next week. Some foods will make Grandpa happy, others merely content. Some food will make Grandpa disgusted to the point of nausea. Learning material is also scattered throughout the basement. Seek out vocabulary cards intended to help teach English and basic anthropoidic concept formation. Basic anthropoidic concept formation.
Anthropoidic just means
Okay.
human in shape, but not necessarily
Yeah.
human.
Yes. That just how any. Yeah.
We're
Okay.
teaching it to be human shaped.
That's also a sentence.
That
The object.
triggers a strong association for anyone who's studied, I guess, criminal psychology first and foremost, but
Right.
there's the big unsolved question in psychology. right now, even more than how do you treat schizophrenia, because the field has kind of established is probably going to be like a neurological or pharmacological solution, is how do you treat people with psychopathy? And the first instinct of every therapist who deals with someone with psychopathy is to try and teach them to recognize other people's emotions and mimic them. But all that does is teach people with psychopathy to become better liars
Better
and
manipulators, yeah.
better manipulators by adding emotional manipulation to their repertoire. So that's like the thing that I'm getting is where like teaching this infiltrator to our society how to infiltrate more good.
But
Looking real forward.
we love our grandpa so much, and it's about a little girl's wish to help heal the rift in her family.
Yeah.
The options highlighted in red are related to navigating around Grandpa's enclosure. The Go to Grandpa option will let you perform all actions directly related to Grandpa: feeding, teaching, observing, etc. Accessing the Study Corner will let you go over any documents you pick up as the weeks go by. So
Yay!
that
Yeah,
answers the
hopefully we'll get a
inventory
second
question.
chance.
It's a good idea to learn about the work of the people who last occupied this space. Accessing the kitchen corner will let you search for food in the old refrigerator and prepare food for Grandpa, if need be. The Help button will replay this tutorial. The Save Game button will save your current progress. You can only have one save file at a time, so if you have saved data, you will be asked if it is okay to overwrite it. Don't ever touch this button. More buttons may or may not appear depending on your development of Grandpa, so watch out for them. One final note: take care to explore the basement at your leisure. However, due to the entropic nature of clutter and trash, different weeks may allow you to find things you had not previously discovered. Good luck! So in other words, we want to check these things every week, just in case there's something new.
Hey! Orientation
Yeah.
note 2 and other things.
I'll
The
read this
impetus
one
of
because you guys have been reading a lot and it's long as hell.
Okay.
The impetus of this research was the recognition of a particular pattern in fragments of documents relating to magic and magico-religious practices. Numerous sources were drawn from: commentaries on laws relating to the banning of sorcery and necromancy, compilations of folk charms relating to love spells, hagiographs of saints and their encounters with devils. The list spans many centuries and a great distance, from the Levant to the Khazar Khaganate to the border of the modern nation-states of Russia and Kazakhstan today. From this paper trail arose a consistent account about a certain form of magic relating to the binding of demons to a sorcerer's will. A demon called the Heaven of Needles, or the Angel of Needles, was known to be kept best by shamanic keepers or wards who suffer from face blindness, prosopagnosia, whether by birth or through developmental causes like a stroke or head injury. It was known to be extremely effective but terribly dangerous, so much so that it became outlawed several times and was generally a popular scapegoat relating to an unexpected death. The nexus of magico-religious meaning-making, sorcery regarding human-related desires, and the history and science of neurological disorders related to fusiform gyrus is where the subject of this dissertation will reside. I will outline further, then analyze the historical sources I mentioned previously, then I will go into the neurology of mystic and magico-religious experiences. After that, I will detail my ongoing correspondence with a resident of the Ural Mountain region who is an expert folklorist and keeper of traditions he claims have been passed down through his extended family for generations.
Nice.
Thank you.
We've read the note. I think we
This
missed
is
orientation too, yeah. The sample's exposure to some of our neuronal activity is unavoidable. However, the speed at which its desirous yield is produced can be dampened by several precautions regarding libidinal and emotional urges. Keep conversation not related to lab work to a minimum. If you begin to suspect you are developing attachments to your colleagues, contact me as soon as possible.
I'm sure that's fine.
Interesting. A set of procedures regarding disposal and interment. The researcher will seal off the enclosure bars, ensuring minimal gas leakage during the later fumigating process, and then retrieve the burn barrel and place it near the enclosure. Allow at least 48 hours of time where the current growth cycle experiences no human-related stimuli. Do not enter the enclosure area nor any part of the basement. Ideally, you will not be on the grounds at all. After 48 hours, 2 researchers will enter the basement wearing their assigned mirror mask, mirror apron, and powered air purifying respirator. The researcher will use the vent system to fumigate the enclosure area. Wait 30 minutes and then use the fan system to ventilate the enclosure. Keep the fans running during steps 3 through 4. Re-enter the enclosure area wearing your assigned mirror masks and aprons. The organism may or may not be in complete dormancy. If it is not in full dormancy, be assured that its capacity to act against you will be greatly diminished. With your assigned powered drills, quickly remove any enclosure bars needed to access the organism. Put them aside for later reinstallation. Put the organism into the burn barrel. Incinerate the organism thoroughly. Wait for any smoke to be properly cleared by the fan system. Turn off the fans. One researcher will retrieve the nucleus from the ash and place it in the mirror box. The other researcher will sift through the ash and place any other substantial remains in the biohazard bin in the room outside of the enclosure area. The bin is locked for safety purposes. The code is 323245. The researchers will fill out a termination form and leave it for Dr. Hart. Biohazard bin.
I'm sure he'll love talking about that.
Yeah, cleaning up the trash, which looks like dead bodies.
Clean up, everybody, everywhere.
Oh,
Cashew,
vegetarian.
biodegradable. Grandpa might like this.
Do
Ah,
not grow too
nuts.
fond of cashews, as they are bad for the environment.
Whatever that is, I can't have it.
Oh. A comeback. It was said to pass from one family of steppe people to another, but pressed in its ultimate origin somewhere to the south, coiled in a bowl covered in incantations, buried upside down by a graveyard. A common late antiquity demon trap. The keeper, an elderly man in failing health, was ready to expound on and on about the dangers of the organism, but when I asked more pointed questions about the history of its acquisition, I was given curt responses that had a way of circling back to vague warnings. I see something.
Gold!
Nah, nothing.
This is not either learning material or feedable to Grandpa, so I don't care.
Enough.
Is that instructions for a gun? What is that?
There's something. Vocabulary card. Grandpa. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators.
How convenient that the first, flashcard that we find from our grandpa is the word grandpa.
Grandpa, yeah. Which it actually is incredibly convenient because they never tried to. I don't think anybody tried to make a Grandpa before.
There's something more here. I see something on the top right, I think. Oh, never mind. I guess that's just... Oh,
It
There you
is
go.
these.
Those things. You removed the
Oh.
tinfoil fabric to reveal the cabinet's wooden bottom. Notation regarding sample exoskeletons. You can examine this detail later in the study corner.
I don't want to do it
Research
later.
participants, please take note. Each growth from a cycle does not require a shell, but you may find the sample will often try and seize on something somewhat flexible it can grow into, along with any desirous yield it may generate, or else it will move from one shell to the next as it outgrows them. Very hermit crab of it. In the small amount of time I have spent with it in preparation, I have noticed it tends toward human forms. However, we should keep a tight lid on the anthropoidic seal in order to be cautious before we begin to experiment with exposing it long term to anthropoid stimuli. Dr. Hart.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
A note regarding cleanup procedures. To my colleagues, I don't mean to be overly severe in tone, but Dr. Hart's work is very important, and the material we are working with is potentially very dangerous. I will be handing out a copy of this note as a reminder to everyone. I'm not trying to single any particular person out. We all have misconceptions about the nature of this project from time to time. With that out of the way, here are some things to keep in mind. The act of growth must be thoroughly terminated via the correct procedures, at the very least 4 weeks after dormancy is interrupted. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done regarding tests or procedures, or how much the anthropoidic vacuum has been disrupted. We are not ready to go beyond 4 weeks at this point. A step-by-step guide to termination has been posted by the enclosure wall. Please, please, please do not place the educational posters over this posting.
Which they did.
Do not disrupt the anthropoidic vacuum without Dr. Hart's prior consultation and approval. In case of any emergency where the vacuum is disrupted, put on your equipment and begin the lockdown procedure. Make an extensive note of when and how the breach occurred. If you find the habitat empty, page Dr. Hart immediately, but do not attempt to speak with anyone else. This thing can get very smart. I'm sure you're all well aware from the stories we heard on our acquisition trip. The greatest caution should be used when dealing with a potential aggressive mimicry scenario. Please seek me out if you have any more questions. William.
Oh, that's the that's the clip for the clipboard.
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess.
I remember this. It's a subdural hematoma. We have to give him aspirin.
Oh, is that like an X-ray backlight?
Presumably.
Yeah.
And if we ever get anything,
Kidney stones, let's operate. Lettuce.
Banana.
Oh, banana.
Make me a pizza.
It ain't gonna be pizza.
What is the unappealing item?
we
Okay.
haven't found one yet.
We don't have any at the moment.
You can
We have to.
you can pill pocket stuff if you want to.
We have 2 fruits. We have 2 fruits and. No, we have a fruit and a vegetable.
And legume? Legume?
We have yes, cashews are legumes, right?
Yeah. Trash. Something appears to be growing from the wall. You take a closer look. A pulsating sac. The slimy membrane that is its skin seems to contain something. It might be able to be opened with a blade.
I don't love that for me.
Let's go immediately find a blade.
We're getting into some cutting research.
Hello.
Well, Corroded battery. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Well, there's your
That's
undesirable food.
there's just a crazy assumption.
You haven't seen feeding Grandpa yet.
Can
No.
you do any poking? Oh, there's more stuff. Okay, cool.
Once you see the feeding of Grandpa, you will realize that, yeah, it might. Okay, that's the lightless corner.
Darkness. Yeah, okay.
Well, we have all the things. Do you want to keep exploring, or do you want to see what feeding Grandpa is like? It's only
Yeah,
9:20.
I'm okay continuing exploring.
Yeah, because I mean, again, if they're gonna dirty the place up every week, you may find something new and important.
Yeah.
To proceed without doing so may cause us to miss something.
That looks like food.
That looks food.
Blueberries.
Blueberries.
They've been sitting out of refrigeration now.
I'm sure it's fine.
You
I
really
can't
can find anything. Let's go digging in their drawers.
Dig, 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 dig in. My lord? Yes, my lord. What now? Let's get digging!
What is that from?
Hey, boo.
It is from Lords of the Realm 2, I think?
Before we began, he had us all cover our faces completely. An earthenware pot was, and on the side, as we stole brief glances at it, we could see the interior was inlaid with mirrors. The gave it small pieces of dough, spoiled food, chicken feed, keeping it content. The keeper gestured towards the small bag where the food composted and told us to be careful not to feed it any meat.
Didn't he
I asked
literally
the
just say chicken? Oh, chicken feet. Gotcha. Okay.
That's still meat.
yeah. I asked if
No,
the
chicken
rotting
feet
food
is like grains.
I
Salt.
asked if the rotting food was enough to sustain it, how it might get nutrients from any of this. What's up, Whit?
It still counts as meat.
The keeper regarded me seriously and said it did not matter what it was fed. The act of feeding itself was what mattered. The act of feeding flesh is another act, however. He then gave me another series of grave warnings regarding not keeping any animal-derived foods near where I might be keeping it.
But yes, that does seem like an awful contradiction. This is where we keep the mask faces. So if I ever need those,
Safety.
We're gonna need some kind of key for this.
we sure are.
Something about that painting looks strange.
You mean
That's
the?
a Georgia.
Maybe
Is it really?
No.
a folder full
Ooh.
of graphic images.
Yeah.
Does that mean I get to be a doctor again?
Yeah.
Doctor.
Are you quoting the Muppet movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, you know the horrors I'm capable of.
We both do, yes. I found that stream a little upsetting.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and that was roughly like 2 months into the show too.
It's true.
Fiberglass insulation. So like you were just starting to figure out what I was about after the whole James Bonding incident from the first day.
It's true.
The waste here smells particularly strong. A simple paper doll. This might be useful in the construction of magic symbols.
All right, I
That's
think
that
that's
Still
everything.
music, or is that something? Is
I'm
that
a little
music?
disturbed.
Sort of. There's like a percussion-ish stuff going on in the back sometimes.
I see.
It's a rain stick.
All right. What do we want to teach Grandpa? Oh, do we want to look at the radiology?
I do.
You examine Grandpa, noting its movements, respiration, and general mood. Grandpa seems sort of sluggish and bored. You get the feeling it may be more content and readily cooperative once fed and taught a word or two.
Don't feed Grandpa.
You slip the radiographic images you found onto the machine's display.
Let's look at Whiskers. Oh, that's not good.
Propagation number 21, day 19 after dormancy. Anth vacuum misspelled. Broken, yes. Terminate at 21 days. Notes in detail. Intriguing results with regard to the mimic hypothesis. A participant entered a sealed chamber adjacent to Whiskers, growth cycle 21, which had been freed from the anthropoidic vacuum, constructed quite economically from plastic and broken mirrors. The first propagation's original earthenware vacuum was shattered during the move-in. Between the two, there was a semi-opaque glass panel that allowed observation both ways.
Okay, so the anthropoidic vacuum is the container where all it can see is itself.
Itself.
Mm-hmm. The human participant was asked to think of someone in the popular consciousness, fictional or no, and cogitate on their image, personality, face if possible, voice if possible, etc. Our participant chose Jesus of Nazareth, and with weekly repeated exposures to the participant's imaginings, propagation number 21 began forming what resembled an anthropoid Nazarene in the fold of its spines. Previous human-oriented tests have always bore out a result that Whiskers would form an anthropoid team member, be it me or Dr. Hart or Gerald, and we assumed it was merely mimicking one of us. Dr. Hart has always contended the desirous yield, or the anthropoid reproduction Whiskers creates when in contact with human beings, has always been based on the conception and relation to the person through someone else. With this framework, the desirous yield is not actually a replica of a person, or if it is only a replica of the fiction of a person generated in the mind of another.
Cool.
The desirous yield was not Jesus Christ, but the participant's image of Jesus assembled from their religious upbringing, religious artwork, depictions in popular culture, etc. This radiograph was taken right before the destruction of the growth cycle, while Whiskers was rendered unconscious via fumigation. It seems like with every successive propagation, stem cells in the organism work a little faster. But I'm not paranoid. It's technically deathless, yes, but we're burning up whatever knowledge it's gained when we incinerate it. I don't believe in magic just yet.
This is very cool.
Isn't it great?
Like, this is
This is awesome.
so imaginative.
Yes.
Day
It's so
0 after
cheerful.
dormancy. Vacuum broken, yes. Terminate at 6 days. We have taken to calling it Whiskers, though of course some have interpreted it as hair or needles or quills, but Whiskers is more accurate, as the needles are really more like suprasensory follicles or spines. The nerve nets distributed throughout the morphology of these spines resemble those of genus Hydra, but have myelin sheaths that are functionally the same as vertebrae. As we can see in the X-ray, each spine is laden with dense optical arrangements similar to compound eyes.
Ew.
The Hydra connection is assuredly worth investigating with regard to the organism's capacity for regeneration and anecdotal deathlessness. It's certain it is a robust enough creature to inspire marvel that is not untinged with fear. What about DC?
Waka waka.
Number 14, vacuum not broken, day 14 after dormancy, terminated 16. Exposure to mammalian forms, part of a series of zoomorphic influences, led to further understanding of the propagation's ability to simulate the somatic stem cells that constitute fully developed animals. I write simulate in the previous statement because, examining the tissue of each propagation, leads me to believe its amazing capacity for accelerated growth of vastly different forms comes from its cell-level mutability. And yet at no time does it function as the thing it becomes except in the sense that it mimics it. That is to say, when Whiskers is removed from dormancy and replicates a rabbit's morphology, it is not seeing from the rabbit's eyes nor smelling from the rabbit's nose, but pretending that it does and doing a very good job at it. Number 5, day 10 after dormancy, vacuum not broken, terminate at 12.
Oh, vacuum spelled correctly this time.
Indeed. This radiograph was taken at or around growth cycle number 4. The strange thing about it was that the subject of the image was found nowhere near the enclosure. It's almost like a piece of Whiskers fell off and scurried into the corner. I feel like we've learned a lot since then, but at the time I remember speaking about the morphology being weird, not really even resembling any extant zoomorphic structure, besides maybe a cuttlefish. Then I happened to open the thing up. Cuttlefish!
Yeah.
Inside were all these little dead amoeba-like things. But they all sort of looked like they had faces. Faces that were just barely there. After I took the radiograph, I gathered it up and went to go through it in the biohazard bin. As I walked by the bars of the enclosure, I could hear Whiskers suddenly growing wild, flopping around and grunting excitedly. Could it have smelled the cuttlefish thing? Would it eat its own production? I guess it's technically flesh. This is beyond the scope of the project, but it could be that without the stimulus of an active brain, or more specifically, a healthy and active brain capable of face recognition and theory of mind, Whiskers begins to pull whatever it can from the limited data available to it. Again, this is not our focus at this time, but I left a note for Dr. Hart just in case he wanted to take a look.
Creepy. Alright, that's back to 21.
Yep.
Apparently this creator has made like
these-
24 interesting little games like this.
Yeah.
This is fascinating, though.
Yeah.
I would like you to meet Grandpa.
Yeah. Let's communicate. Let's teach Graham. Are you gonna feed him first?
I'm gonna feed it first.
Okay.
Would you like to view the tutorial before you? This brief tutorial will go over the basics of feeding Grandpa. Via induction of your unprotected insula, Grandpa has simulated the production of tooth enamel to mimic a human mouth. It will need to be fed through this in order to properly learn. First, you'll need to select an item from the lunchbox. Click on the lunchbox in the bottom right corner. The contents of the lunchbox will be displayed. Select an item from the lunchbox. Doing so will fill your hand with this item. Note that any food can be put back into the lunchbox by clicking on the lunchbox with a full hand. Before Grandpa can be fed, it must judge the food by smell. Hover your hand above Grandpa's olfactory bulbs. If Grandpa is pleased, it will allow you to feed it. Most foods Grandpa will accept. However, getting Grandpa to consume other things requires some culinary deception. When Grandpa is willing to be fed, hover your hand over its mouth and click. Grandpa will then consume the food. Good luck.
You excited?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You approach the small window and he'll screw you up.
Smile.
God, that's disturbing.
So, what do you want to feed it? I don't
Fiberglass
really
insulation.
understand the point of feeding bad food to it.
I
I
say let's find out.
think it changes the way it like develops.
But I just don't know. Like, it's clearly a meaningful choice, but I don't know what the meaning is. So how can a choice be meaningful without meaning? It can't be. It's not a
Replayability.
meaningful choice. That is true.
That's where the meaning comes from is, oh, this will be different.
I would personally like to see the route of malevolent development.
you want to be a modern day Prometheus and teach it the concept of deception, I think that's dangerous.
Grandpa
Let's
seems
do it.
indifferent to the smell, but will accept it as food. The meal appears to have been sufficient.
Okay, let's feed him the second
The
thing.
battery. Wait, what did you give it? You gave it the cashews.
I did.
God damn it! I thought it was the insulation.
He doesn't want it. And so, if we're gonna do that, we'll have to take like the brown banana and cover it.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay. Why though? Why?
Well, do it once to see what it looks like.
Okay.
Let's do it. Oh, it's sitting. I don't like that. I think it's worse that it sits in the chair. There you go.
Okay.
Consumed, the meal seems to be causing some indigestion. And with a sudden lurch, Grandpa empties its stomach onto the floor. The contents pool together in front of the cage. Grandpa makes a plaintive whine, clearly disappointed in the lack of sustenance.
So does this mean that it didn't get
Dejectedly locum.
any other? Okay, so we still get credit for the one acceptable food.
Grandpa recently emptied its stomach.
Interesting.
Okay, so let's explore the basement to see what he vomited.
Is it under observe?
Oh wait,
No, it was there. It was there.
Ah.
Examine stomach contents.
Boys!
See, I was intending evil, and it worked out very nicely.
I guess sometimes it just takes all types to get a job done. You need some Jonas Salks, you need some Joseph Mengele's.
All right, let's.
This is simply experience with point and clicks.
There he goes.
I want to see it sitting in the chair because I didn't see it sitting before.
Can you kind of see him back
Oh,
there?
yeah, there he is.
Wow. Hell.
I think hello. Okay.
Well, so this
I
is
can
number
see that
1 and
there's
that's
a
number 2?
two. Yeah. I would take bold action to reorder them, but that is.
I just don't know if it matters. I'm scared.
This brief tutorial will go over absolutely everything the world has to offer. The vocabulary word you picked will appear in the top left corner. In the bottom right corner will be a pentagon that is divided up into 8 sections. Like a Triforce? A section of the pentagon will be highlighted briefly. A notification sound will play, and soon another section will be highlighted. You will control a small round icon that sits above the pentagon by using your mouse. The ball is constrained to the limits of the pentagon. The goal is to keep your icon over the highlighted area and move it as the area changes sections around the pentagon.
You know,
When you
basic
hold
first level pedagogy. Rotate the pentagon to teach the child.
When you hold left click above the correct highlighted area, the icon will start to vibrate along with the simulated vocal cords, and the current letter of your word will begin to turn red. Keep holding over the highlighted section and adjust your icon as soon as it changes place. Soon, the letter will become fully red. After every letter becomes red, Grandpa will proudly pronounce the word to you and it will be considered learned.
Example.
Teaching Grandpa these words will accelerate its cognitive development and lead to further breakthroughs in general intelligence. Here we go. Are you holding down the button?
Yes?
Okay. All right, that's one letter. You got to follow it faster. It fades
Yeah.
out.
Almost there.
Deep within Grandpa's strange membranes, phony. Oh. Having completed the lesson, you take a look back at the back of the vocabulary module card, and the notes there written by administrators of the past.
We did it?
We did it. Grandpa, part of vocabulary and vocalization module E81, family. General pronunciation comments. Usual trouble with articulation, voice thin and raspy, possibly underdeveloped larynx. We have done several sessions of what we are calling familial relation simulation. I and a co-researcher sit in chairs opposite the enclosure. We are wearing the usual masks, and we begin to act out a scene, mostly through improvisation, that might roughly resemble a kitchen table conversation between an immediate family.
Oh man, you know who's probably the worst at improv is scientists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't do that. They do absolutely everything opposite. Repeated trials would reveal, although our simulation. This grammar is fucking me up, man. Repeated trials would reveal, although our simulated conversation was purposely vague and unspecific regarding persons and identities, we would only address each other as brother, father, sister, etc., etc., etc. It would soon become apparent that the encoded information and associations we unconsciously drawn upon
What?
when hearing and speaking these words was being picked up on by Whiskers and its psi-type field of reception interpretation of brain, mind events, semantic content. That was
This is
poorly written.
that's all one sentence.
Yeah.
Thumbs
My
down,
co-researcher
scientists.
William.
My crew
My
researcher
co-research.
got A's in arcane science, but didn't get any A's in English.
And yeah, creative writing.
Mm. My co-researcher William noticed this in a simulation where Whiskers was given a role as a sister and he as a brother. I was the daddy. Whiskers began responding to certain prompts with unusual specificity, as well as a general pattern and timbre of speech that continued with unusual consistency. As soon as the simulation ended and we left the enclosure area, William let me know that Whiskers was almost certainly drawing from encoded memories of his late sister. Mapping out exactly what regions and centers of neural activity are intercepted by the psi-type field will take extensive neuroimaging that we do not have at this site. Currently, we only have less precise portable equipment. However, our experiences so far are eerily in line with folk knowledge and folk explanations regarding the being's access to desires, and we can begin to infer it has access to certain portions of the limbic system and the ventral temporal cortex.
You did it.
Thanks. Excuse me a minute. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Do carry on.
You step away from the bars and store the module card at the document table. One more teach.
Hello, darling. You. Blah, 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 blah. I just noticed that is like the
Awful?
muscles of a throat of like its
It's
pseudo
vocal cords, yeah.
esophagus. Yeah, that's great. I love it. Deep within Grandpa's strange membranes, phonate confidently. Hello.
Yeah, no good.
Having
Yeah,
completed
whatever,
the
whatever.
lesson, yeah, it was okay.
Hello,
Hello,
part of
part of
Vocabulary and Vocalization Module A2, Conversational Basics, General Pronunciation Comments, Sloppy Articulation. Module Comments. We are already encountering some difficulty as Whiskers' subjectivity is so much determined by a diverse and dynamic array of influences. It attempts to mimic the thoughts and desires it passively intercepts, and these imitations go on to structure the basis of its identity. Only later in Whiskers' growth cycle does it begin to form an identity or identities that are coherent and capable of resembling a sane, rational human being when engaged in conversation. One must imagine how hard it would be to converse with someone who is not yet oriented in one particular way towards who or how they are, because they might have 20 different honest answers to those questions, all of them mixed and muddled together. Oh, do you mean a child?
No, I think they mean like 3 children whose brains have just recently been surgically put together
I
into one
guess.
composite
I don't
creature.
know, it just sounds like a teenager to me.
I mean, it's not a million miles away from what a teenager is.
Or going
Teenagers
through.
want to, yeah, teenagers want to be part of different groups and be different people, and that leads them to be that kind of composite person of like who they were yesterday, who they self-image as, and who they think the person they want to fuck would fuck, and that's another person they want to be.
Because of this, we
Okay.
have started the basics of conversation: greetings, partings, identifying one another, forming questions, etc. It is fortunate that Whisker's current growth, number 19, I believe, has developed a mostly accurate human mouth simulation. Hello was a bit of a challenge in the previous growth as it failed to develop an adequate organ to act as a human tongue.
How did this last learning exercise go?
Smoother. I was faster.
Yep. Cool. Well done.
All right. We can end the week. No, we should do the key.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the cabinet.
Because it's
The lowest
9:45.
All right.
Is this the sister?
This could be some.
No.
The recognition of this face kicks off a cascade of emotion and meaning deep within your psyche.
But I don't get to be a part of it.
Nope.
No, it would seem not. That might be it.
Oh, fuck. Can we make our mom? Oh, fuck. After Grandpa, do we make our mom? Or
Oh,
who we
already
want
boy.
have
our
a
mom to
mom.
be?
See, this is where the gay agenda has led us to. Little oh my god, I'm completely blanking on her name. N little, god damn it, someone help me. Someone rescue
Oh,
me from
Adrian?
this. Yes! Adrian is gonna grow up with 2 moms! One
Wait,
of
can you
whom is a
form?
horrible needle creature. How am I supposed to explain that to my kids?
Oh, Christ.
Wait, using the paper figure and the face, or the picture rather.
I think you
Can
could
you?
make one. I don't know if I want to yet. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
afeared that I would soft lock myself.
Um, it says that it can only inhabit one shell at a time, and even if there are more growths, the consciousness comes from like a nucleus,
Right.
and there's only one nucleus. But we could that's how we could get flesh if we wanted to feed it flesh. Is we could have it grow one shell, move from
Oh, because it was willing to eat whatever piece fell off.
yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How much can you think we can get done in 13 minutes?
We might be able to get through the week 3 introduction and then
Yeah,
save right there before we do any exploration.
that is my thought exactly. Food acquired, battery.
Mom.
Oh, language. Dawn of the final week, although not necessarily.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Mrs.
Hello.
Richards approached me the other
Her name is
day.
Mrs. Richardson, unless it's a different lady, but he made a mistake. This man is a fraud.
That really only solidifies in my mind that these are authentic medical notes from a real person in a real situation. Approached me the other day in order to remark on Adrian's development. She noted how much more at ease she appeared when called upon in class, or when asked to participate in group exercises. I told her I had seen this change happening as well, and that as much as I would like to take credit for it, I can only guess dimly at what might be reshaping her attitude. Miss Richards, again, some consistency here, posited that it was perhaps Adrian's family moving into their grandfather's property that caused the change. It apparently is out in the country in a wooded area full of wide open space and far from the bustle and noise of the city. The grandfather, Dr. Jacob Hart, had jointly purchased the land with the university he was employed with and began constructing what he was intending to be a satellite campus for a burgeoning psychological anthropology program he had a hand in establishing. Only one building ever ended up being constructed after Dr. Hart died in a car accident while driving back from the property one day. Eerily, it almost at the exact same time, a grad student who was assisting Dr. Hart on some sort of project at the property vanished without a trace. The property sat in disuse for years as it was tied up in legal battles between Dr. Hart's next of kin, the university, the vanished grad student's family, and the other students Dr. Hart was working with. Eventually, the case was settled out of court. Only recently did the property fall into the possession of Adrian's mother.
You did it.
I don't know why I struggle so hard with that name. Obviously, I was not going to relay this whole tragic story to Adrian, who, for all I know, believes her grandpa to still be living in the basement of his home. Besides, I thought, she might already know all of this. That's like at least 50% of all families' sex education. I won't say anything. Besides, he probably knows all of this.
Oh, I was like, what about the
That,
dead grandpa is about sex education? But I understand your metaphor now.
that's one hell of a thought.
You see, son, back in my day, the way we used to do it, when we had a girl we took a fancy to, and she wasn't interested, we would just hide ourselves in a rotten banana.
Oh, Jesus.
I was so scared of where you're going with that. God, I was so scared. Oh. But you really pulled up and out of it at the end. That was still pretty funny.
Yeah, you really pulled out at the end. Nice
Oh,
work.
for fuck's sake.
62% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
I hate you both.
Perhaps the elaborate story she was constructing was her own way of escaping the morbid details of a life, or perhaps lives, cut short by the cruel force of fate and the cynical adults who squabbled in the aftermath. I determined perhaps the storytelling she was. I determined perhaps the storytelling she was and continues to engage in should not be encouraged by me, at least not in the way I went about it before, where I made active inquiries into her strange fantasy of a semi sentient ball of skin.
That was a tough sentence, and you did great.
When I saw Adrian, I did not bring up her grandpa or ask questions about his growth. Adrian could not stop talking about it, however. I had no choice but to weather her bizarre and enthusiastic effusions about her new best friend.
That's how I feel when I speak to children, is that I'm weathering it.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm sorry. Everything about this image is just so
It's tough to
fully
look at.
fascinating. Yeah. Uh, Adrian, maybe we can talk about something else. I'm not sure I'm following you exactly.
He's gotten so big, he has so many whiskers that come out, and I can see them move around when I think about him.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm so happy Grandpa is back. He's so much cooler than Mom and Dad.
Oh, God.
Once again, for what it's worth, I have put down the story she told me as best I could, ellipsis. Adrian once again told me about growing her grandpa.
All right, let's go take a look at him.
Take a look at Grandpa!
3 acceptable foods.
2 vocabulary words.
Okay.
5
Oh,
golden rings.
definitely more hairs.
He needs a shave. Grandpa's gums are
His
bleeding
gums
slightly,
are bleeding.
and its skin seems overly dry. It may need a food packed with vitamin C. A kiwi fruit would be an excellent remedy. Quiz
I like how her
question.
first thought is like, he's got scurvy.
Exactly. That
Yes.
was
What is
the
she,
answer to
like
the question
8?
that I would have asked.
How does she know about that?
Would
Maybe
anybody?
one of the many children who I sing the tale of Pellagra to.
All right. Let's call it here.
Hmm.
Do we want to keep playing this?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah, you like
Yeah.
it?
I do.
Yeah.
I thought you guys might. I told you I was excited about this one.
This is
Um,
an awesome. This is an awesome pinch hit.
Our second favorite weave may have fucked up by canceling D&D tonight and letting me become exposed directly to this. Because I might legitimately skip D&D next week so that I can.
Your character has scurvy.
My character is a horrible monster, not unlike Grandpa, who's currently soliciting the help. He's trying to make a gang of orphans in the sewers of his city.
I was gonna say,
So,
and Grandpa's not doing this, but she's not technically orphaned. She's just emotionally orphaned.
indeed.
Um,
So there will be an overlap of horrible monsters chatting with children.
yeah, you
in the
should
dark.
definitely take some inspiration from this. There's a lot to hate.
Indeed.
So I don't have my calendar with me, but I believe I should still be available next week.
I am.
And I'm told that at work we are filming a very short television appearance, and that I am not allowed to speak.
Why?
Is The Sopranos doing more? Have they moved slightly south in New Jersey?
No,
And
it's
they're
the
taking over.
news.
Oh.
You
Now,
have
why
to
aren't you
stop
allowed?
torturing this dog.
What are you doing to poor Tefra?
Before bed, Rissa has a signal of like throwing a toy down the hallway means it's time to go to bed. And Rissa did the fake out of fetch, and Tefra ran all the way down the hallway onto the linoleum floor and then skidded on the brakes before she realized that the toy was not there. And so
Well,
Rissa will
that's not
stand
right.
at the end of the hall near the office and then throw a toy, and then Tefra will do the most out of control drifts and slides on the linoleum. Once
Too
I'm,
Yeah,
fast.
that's not right. Why you do that?
it's
Come
very
on.
funny.
It's funny, but it's
She only
terrible.
occasionally bonks into stuff. Although the other day, sometime last week, I was standing at the office or encouraging her to come to bed, and she was in the kitchen. And she did a full Scooby Doo can't get traction run because I couldn't see her because she was in the horseshoe of the kitchen. And I just
Oh,
heard the commotion of her claws. And then she like comes creeping around the corner, but running as fast as she can. She just can't get up any speed. So she's moving very, very slowly, but really trying to book it until she finally catches and sprints her way down the hallway to me. And Rissa and I laughed so hard that we were breathless.
Tefra is a good dog.
Zephyr's a good girl.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have her. Most of her faults are remediable. Like the diarrhea she had all over the carpet this week.
Oh,
Oh, that
I didn't
reminds
hear
me.
about that.
Risk, go get her cage. She will sleep in a cage until she can be trusted. Although her tummy seemed better today, so hopefully this will not be a permanent situation for her because she doesn't like it.
A happy ending to a fairly shitty story.
Yeah, she was obviously not doing well. but she seems better. So this game is really fascinating, and I would encourage you to not look up anything about it. Although having been trying to look it up,
Absolutely
there's nothing to find.
Well,
Um,
even then, I wanna be surprised by what comes out.
Yeah.
I still, even 30 years of experience, I still want to practice my point and click skills.
Yeah, this is almost not quite a point and click. I don't think there's going to be a lot of puzzles. Let's put it that way.
It's a very simplified point and click, but still, this should prove once and for all I don't need walkthroughs for this shit.
There isn't one.
There are none.
Yeah, if you can predict things that are going to happen, then I'll be forced to give it to you that playing 30 years worth of point and clicks will prepare you for any subsequent point and click.
Okay.
One quick question before we go. What was the Sierra game that was Lost in Time?
Lost in Time, yes.
If you can find a copy of that, I would be sexually interested in playing it on stream.
You would like
Don't
me
say it
to
like
find
that.
you like an ISO copy or something? A virtual disc?
Legality does not concern me, Admiral.
Yeah, how long is Sierra no longer in business? I think you're probably okay.
Sierra. I feel like Sierra was bought by somebody. But I couldn't tell you who.
It's probably owned by Tencent at this point.
No.
At least put her in the room. No?
Silver, may I please direct your attention to the chat room?
She probably won't bark if she's in the room.
Is that
She said us within 15
is that a link to an ISO? I will slip an envelope full of something you will appreciate into a newspaper and hand it off to you, and that will conclude our illegal transaction.
I thought you were gonna fuck him.
Yeah, what gives?
Maybe that's the envelope, and the newspaper is a metaphor for.
Oh no! Stop! Nope. I don't want to talk about his envelope. Let's go home. Good night, everybody. That was.
To seal the deal is like sealing an envelope.
No. I'm gonna hit the button. I'm gonna do it.
This
you
is
have
Alpha,
to.
Hold on! Wait! This is Alpha Star DX on Radio 96 point fucking goddamn. I'm deprived. Thanks a lot, Silver. Good night.
Good night.
Adrian,